Does the thought of you or a loved one facing bath time cause anxiety?
Jason's tweaking.
You need to take your clothes off. You have to take your clothes off to take a bath.
April 11th, 2021. A young child's phone lights up with a notification from his TikTok account. His heart races as up until this point, engagement on his page had been practically non-existent.
Loser.
And so excitedly, he unlocks his screen before quickly realizing that this reply was something strange, as rather than being a comment in response to his video, it was instead a challenge directed at him. It read, "Dare you to ask your parents if you can get a bath fully clothed in your shoes and socks and see what they say." The child was no more than 12 years old, and not wanting to let his new fan down, he decided to accept the dare, approaching his mother and asking to take a bath in his clothes, to which his mother responds with a sharp no.
Good night, bro. I appreciate
as
the help too,
inconsequential as it may seem, this one comment is merely our first encounter with one of the more unusual internet mysteries in recent memory, as the account behind it has quietly become one of TikTok's strangest, by leaving a trail of concerning videos and comments in its wake. And just as I began to scratch its surface, I quickly realized that this was a rabbit hole far deeper.
Listen, don't let anyone ever control Twitch mods hate me. No. If you like trauma dump or like comment on much like that, it's gonna mod it. But besides the point, listen, bro, don't let anyone else ever have the power over you to affect your mood. Your true strength comes from being able to control your emotions, regulate your mood, control your power. So don't let some toxic people, some random strangers on the internet, no exes, nobody at all, come in here and affect your mood or anything like that.
Than I'd ever planned on diving down.
Yeah, don't let me
this is
change your
the
mood.
disturbing story of Howard the Duck 4.
Listen, you guys want to know how you can be the most powerful person that you can be? It's not about lifting weights. It's not about looking a certain way. It's not about having a certain amount of tattoos. It's not about having a certain amount of sex with a certain amount of people. It's having the power to banish someone from your reality. Your reality is what you think about every single day, what you see every single day, going back and forth to work, who lives in your house, what kind of car you drive. Everything that's within your reality is what you control on a day-to-day basis that directly affects you. That's your reality. And if you can banish someone from your reality, they no longer exist. You block them. They can't text you. You don't think about them. You move on. That's the most powerful thing you can do.
Shorts, underwear, hoodie, shirt. And he is going to
block him quietly. Who are they?
Before we dive down this rabbit hole, I want to first thank today's trust in cars make over to
TikTok is the new social video app making some serious waves.
Listen, bro, if someone fucks with me, bro, I literally delete them from my universe, delete them from my reality. They no longer exist, and I'll never, ever, ever think about them, be bothered, or worried about them again. Because I have that power to do that to somebody, and I'll fucking do it to you.
Hello there.
None of you guys, but...
How are you? Hope you're all well. And hope you're all keeping fine.
It started back in the summer of 2020 with this video. An inconspicuous upload by an older user named Howard the Duck 4.
Listen, if people are doing that, like, as an adult, bro, you gotta block that, move on. Like, you can't be stuck in that high school bullshit forever. Like, damn, it's not like you're talking to a high schooler. It's kind of worrisome.
4. His real identity wasn't known for the main reason that no one really cared enough to find out. He never had any significance on the site, with most of his uploads going by without so much as a second glance, or even a first glance for that matter. And given the quality of his videos, it's not hard to understand why, as the man, who I'll now be referring to simply as Howard, just comes across as a clueless...
Why does he comb his evil eyebrows up like that?
...grandpa, unsure of how TikTok actually works. However, as lackluster as this inaugural video seems, there is one unusual moment at the end, when Howard, out of the blue, mentions...
I love to do things, like swimming, fully clothed.
To a fleeting viewer, the mention of him liking to swim fully clothed would likely be seen as some kind of bizarre joke.
My family these
but if you
days,
stuck around his page any
that's
longer,
power.
you'd soon notice a pattern to his posting.
Hello everybody. If I get 50 likes, then I will get a bath fully clothed. Hello.
What the
I'm
fuck?
about to get in the bath fully clothed.
Eyebrows.
Across Howard's page that features just a select few uploads, over and over again, we see the mention of swimming, bathing, and showering in clothing, and we even get to see Howard actually do it for himself, as he's seen here soaking in the tub with a big smile.
You gotta move on quietly. You gotta move on, girl. You gotta forget about that shit. Cause I'll say this. One thing, this is how you know a lot about someone. It's by the people they date. And if you dating people like that, that does not say good things about you.
On his face. For whatever reason, Howard appeared to love being in that bathtub.
Like, I'll be honest, if I see a girl and she's fucking ugly dudes or she's talking to ugly dudes, and then she's like, oh, hey, Sen, even if I think she's attractive or pretty, like, fuck no. I see who you be talking to, and if that's your taste, and you also think I'm attractive, I want nothing to do with you.
With his
Like, not just looks, personality-wise, too. Like, if you're dating some weirdos and shit.
clothes on, and he seemed completely infatuated with the idea of wet clothing, which to some might have been interpreted as a joke.
Like, if I see someone I think I might be interested in or I'm attracted to, I'll watch them for a long time and, like, just see if they're hanging out with dudes all the time or on their Instagram story. I'll look through their socials, look through their past. I'll just listen and wait and you know, watch them for a while.
Or a bit. But for me and others across the web, it stands out as something potentially a bit more perverse. A fetish known as wet look. In simple terms, wet look is the sexual fetishization of wet clothing, whether it be the feeling of it on you or the look of it on someone else.
Enjoying often as wet clothes.
And this is surprisingly a really common thing.
For example, I liked this one girl for a while. I remember this a long time ago. Not like a long time ago, but I remember, and we would talk back and forth, and I would just chat. Like I'm not super flirty by any means. Like if you see me come off as flirty, then like you're in there. But like I'm not super flirty, so I would just talk to them and like get to know them. And like I knew this one girl, and she like. We were talking, and then she stopped talking to me, and I saw she got a boyfriend on her Instagram. Like 2 weeks later, they broke up, and she hit me up again. And she's like, oh, it's nothing serious, blah, blah. And I was like, whatever. Started talking to her again. And then, like, 3 weeks later, and, like, she was trying to flirt with me, and I wasn't flirting back because, like, I like to get to know someone before I put myself into it. And then she got, like, another dude she was talking to, but they weren't dating. And then, like, the next weekend, she was, like, out with a bunch of dudes, and they were dancing, and, like, that's fine, you can do that, but, like, I'm not gonna get with you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I need a wifey.
Simple search on YouTube will yield countless results, with viewership often in the tens of thousands, with many of these uploads being very reminiscent to the videos you would see across Howard's page. And just based off of the small sample size we have through Howard's channel, it seems possible that this could be something he might also partake in, as after all, why else would he be doing this and discussing it so often, while clearly enjoying the actual process of soaking in his clothes? With the information provided thus far, it's impossible to prove one way or another whether this is actually something sexual for Howard, but it at least seems like a possibility. And even if this was some kind of fetish for him, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, right?
Asking kids
well,
to do it.
This is where things start to take an odd turn, as around the same time that Howard had been making these videos, an obscure clip would emerge from a similarly unknown creator.
Don't mind me. I don't want to do anything, but we're gonna try something. Do you want to do an activity? Okay, get on shoes, socks, pants. Let me know when you're ready.
Why do I need my shoes on?
Do you want to get in?
Yes.
Okay, get in. Get in, get in, get in, get in.
The video
Not the
shows a
space for
mother
that.
excitedly taking part in a challenge
Hell yeah,
where her son
Sammy.
enters the bath with all of his clothes on.
Take time
And
for
what
yourself.
transpires
I'm proud of
next
you.
seems to be a goofy
takes a lot.
video done in good fun. But it gets a bit stranger when it's revealed that the one
I've got an idea for you to do where your son is concerned if you're willing to take part in an experiment with him. What?
posing this dare was Howard.
What the
With his
fuck?
comment reading, "I've got an idea for
Your
you to do."
son? Why did the mom not look at the person's page who dared him to do this? What kind of motherly instincts is this? Some old man told me to do this, you should do it.
Where your son is concerned if you're willing to
She's
take
the
part
best,
in an
dude.
experiment
I'm
with
really
him.
close to my parents too.
Before
I
going
moved
on to
out.
explain that this dare was for the young boy to get into the bath fully clothed. It's an odd video, and to make it all the more concerning,
This is why my kids
it
will not
wasn't
be
the
on
only
social
one.
media like this.
So Brody was dared to take a shower fully clothed. You can see he has shoes, socks, shorts, underwear, hoodie, shirt, and he is going to get in the shower. Is it cold?
Oh, that feels weird.
I bet it does, fully clothed.
That very same day,
Around
another
their
clip would go
kids?
live
What
showing
the
a young boy
fuck?
entering the shower with all of his clothes
same
on.
humor,
And
hell
again, this was done in response to a challenge issued by Howard. And these videos were just the tip of
No
the
way
iceberg.
people are
As in the
falling for
days,
that.
months, and now year following these videos, other users across the site would report seeing hundreds and hundreds of Howard's comments littered all across TikTok, daring people
What
to
the
participate
fuck?
in his new game. It was all just so bizarre, and it became even more so as time went on, as Howard's comments began to grow increasingly demanding and manipulative, which leads us all the way back to the scenario
Kid for
mentioned at the
clout.
opening of this video,
I didn't
where a
even
young
know-
child had
It's kind
received
of
a
sad.
similar
Like, who
comment
the fuck
from
wants to
Howard.
watch that?
This was in fact a real encounter, which led to the child recording himself asking his mother to participate, before she eventually
Kids
told him
suck at
no.
recording.
Can I take a bath with my clothes on, with my shoes and my socks? No.
But the most damning part of their interaction came within the comments of this video, where Howard actually responded by saying, "Love it, what did she say?" The kid then comments back with, "No, lol." Twice now, Howard had gotten his answer, first from the video, and now from this comment straight from the child himself. However, Howard didn't leave it at that, as he then pushes back by saying,
The heck
"Does
is
that
this?
mean yes or no?" Again, this already answered question went without a reply,
That's
prompting yet another
hilarious.
response by Howard, where this time he says, "If she had said yes, what would you have
Were you
done? Would you have
outside?
gotten in the bath fully clothed, in your shoes and socks?"
Nah.
The whole exchange comes across as almost desperate on Howard's part, as he seems incredibly pushy with a child
days
who is
later,
no more than 12 years
he
old.
came back to the
and his last
comment 2
comment
days
makes it seem
later.
as if he's fantasizing about this, and the idea of the kid following through with his dare. Plus, even after receiving a firm answer on multiple occasions, he never gave it a rest. In fact, a full month later, Howard came back to the young boy's page once again and asked him to participate. Only this time, Howard asked him to do it without
What
his
the
mother's permission.
fuck?
It all felt
Good night,
very
Jeb.
manipulative, and this was a theme throughout most of the comments he left, as he never took no for an answer, and he seemed almost obsessed with having
Yeah.
people do this
Love you,
challenge
Jeb,
of
Jeb.
his.
Jump, jump.
And that wasn't the only concerning similarity across his many replies. If you haven't noticed already, Howard seemed to have a targeted demographic for his challenge, with that being children.
That's
As out of all the
disgusting,
comments he
bro.
would leave, they were exclusively left on accounts run by or featuring minors. He never asked a single adult to do it, as he always zeroed in on children specifically and children only. And to get even more specific, he only ever asked little boys. Which brings us to one burning
Bro,
question.
parents suck.
Why?
Like, they didn't even,
He's all wet. Mr. Noodle gave his clothes a bed.
they didn't even read the account.
Howard's TikTok activity is something
Wet
truly
children.
peculiar, as it certainly raises
Bro.
a number of
From the videos from this account, some of the other predatory channels we watch, like where they expose predators, like, who the fuck knows?
red flags, as across his page we see him posting videos that seem to indicate a wet look fetish. And now he just so happens to have started this challenge that is basically providing him with wet look content. And to make it all stranger, he's supposedly trying to start this new challenge, this new trend, yet he only ever asks underage boys to take part in this. And when he does ask, he comes across as desperate to receive these videos, going as far as to use means of manipulation. Piecing it all together, it becomes more and more clear that something truly sinister is happening here, as it appears as though Howard has made up this fake challenge to take advantage of kids, and to provide him with
I want to know where people find these random clips, like hand scrolling TikTok, then lotion ad comes up.
Erotic content coming from minors.
Like, where do these YouTubers
all while
find these
doing
clips?
so in a discreet way, with the challenge proving to be the perfect cover-up.
What do they look up?
As it makes it so inconspicuous that even the parents of these kids are willingly allowing it to happen and filming it themselves.
This was just for a dare.
Completely unaware that these videos just so happen to line up with Howard's likely fetish. And the fact that he only ever seeks this content from little boys hints at a clear preference, and almost single-handedly discredits the idea that this is really just some innocent challenge. As remember, there are said to be hundreds and hundreds of these comments out there, as he obsessively comments day in and day out, and not
Honestly,
a single one.
it's kind of terrifying because I've seen it, like the amount of people who, and like obviously, like I'm one of those people in a way, like I'm on the internet so much with my job, my life, just everything. But like there are really people on the internet, not even as creators, just as like commenters, and like just on TikTok all day stalking all these accounts, commenting, liking, and there's like all like they're into all these weird things, and they're just like prowling and crawling over like the deepest, weirdest parts of the internet all day, creeping on kids, looking up all this weird bullshit, getting into all these weird communities. Like, it's kind of crazy.
One has been found on an adult's page, or even a young girl's page. And if you think the idea of predators creating fake challenges to obtain fetish content sounds far-fetched,
What if I create a challenge for you guys, chat? I was like, guys, it's Big Booty Challenge Day. I just want to see if you got a big booty, so DM me big booty pics, 18 plus. It's a challenge, chat. Nothing more, nothing less. Just wanted to challenge you guys. Want to see who's the thickest.
well, this would actually be far from the first time something like this has happened. Back in the older days of YouTube, there were countless cases where predators would do the same thing.
I got a
They would
cat hair
find
on me.
unknown channels run by kids and proceed to ask them to do sexual things, all under the guise of these fake challenges, which were oftentimes far more graphic than Howard's dares.
I ain't got no
But
cake.
at the end of the day, they all
Sometime-
serve the same purpose: to create fetish material for
Bro,
those
I can
promoting
feel
the
a cat hair on
challenge.
me.
It's the perfect cover-up and the perfect incentivizer
I
to
don't
make
know.
kids take part in this, as you would be hard-pressed to
I got
find a
it.
child who would recognize this as a fetish.
I got it. Listen, chat, sometimes it's not about the size of the booty, it's just the shape, the density, how it sets, who it's attached to, and that can make it another amazing booty. It's not always about size. Sometimes size goes into disadvantage.
Or even an adult for that matter. And with all this being said, I'm left to
All
firmly
booties matter,
believe that
exactly.
Howard does in fact have malicious intent with these comments, and this challenge of his seems to be strictly done for his own sexual gain.
I've seen some
The red
sexy
flags
little
are
bubble
just
butts,
too
and I've also
glaring.
seen some amazing BBLs.
But identifying this man's
know?
predatory behavior is only half the battle. We still don't have undisputed proof that this is a fetish for him. Plus, we still don't even know who this
I
man
feel
even
seen.
is. And to make
Yeah,
matters
bro.
more difficult, this is where his trail left behind on TikTok essentially ends. As
I
the
got
Howard
you.
the Duck 4 page is practically void of any personal information that could be used to track him down, leading us straight to a dead end. Or so I thought.
Hi everyone, today I'm jumping in the shower with my clothes on.
Faced with a lack of answers coming from TikTok, I decided to see what more I could find on this wet clothes fetish here on YouTube. And although many results were totally fine and happening between consenting adults, I was shocked to see that Howard wasn't the only one who had his sights set on minors.
Oh my god,
My
there's
first search
more
revealed
people.
hundreds and even thousands of videos of young kids bathing, swimming, and showering in their clothes, many of which were placed in playlists that were clearly meant to be viewed for sexual pleasure, as they had names like hot and And disturbingly, most if not all of these videos seem to have come from challenges, and challenges that I had never heard of, and that
What
don't
the
seem to
fuck?
actually be real. For example, the cold shower challenge and the jumping into shower fully clothed challenge.
The cold shower challenge?
And essentially every single one of these videos had been created due to dares left within their comments, the same way that Howard has been doing on TikTok, making it clear to me that Howard is not the only one with this specific predatory fetish. And he's not the only one trying to exploit children across the web into making this content. The scope of it all is honestly surreal.
We've been streaming for a hot minute. If you got some water near you, grab some water. Get a drink of water. Let's hydrate. Let's make sure we're drinking some water. Water is good for your skin, helps regulate your mood, your energy. It's good for your hair, nails. Good for all that shit. Drink some water.
As some of these videos have tens and thousands of views, and they just
Exactly, Angelic. I will say what's good thing about like the older generation dying out and like our generation and millennials becoming like more parents and grandparents is like they have way more like internet safety and internet education than like our parents and our grandparents, you know what I mean?
seem to go on and on for forever with
Like we're gonna know what the fuck to look at our kids need to stay away from on the internet. I'm sure some new shit will come up that you know we haven't heard of or is new, but like we'll understand structure. Well, like you know, like a lot of our parents and grandparents didn't have the internet growing up, and they don't really understand it, how dangerous and like how much trouble you can really get into on the internet.
with hundreds of thousands of results, the majority of which are currently being viewed sexually. This whole rabbit hole of fake challenges across YouTube is something that I'm going to cover more in depth in an upcoming video, but it's important to note that in recent years, YouTube has removed comments on all videos made by children, which thankfully has drastically reduced the spread of these fake challenges on YouTube, meaning that most of these results are thankfully from many years ago. But not all of them, as there was one somewhat recent clip that I just so happened to stumble upon that made me stop dead in my tracks.
Internet researchers scare me.
Take a bath with my clothes on, with my shoes and my socks.
It was the video provoked by Howard, the very start of this whole rabbit hole. Only this time, rather than being on TikTok, the clip had been re-uploaded to a YouTube channel called Kids Swimming Fully Clothed. And this wasn't the only upload, as the channel has several others, all of which can easily be traced back to Howard.
Oh my
as in each of the
God.
videos, you can see Howard's comments plastered at the top, proposing his now infamous dare. Out of these 7 uploads to be featured on this channel, every single one has been made in response to Howard's comments, and all of these re-uploads came very soon after the actual videos were posted. Which,
What
given the
the
obscurity
fuck?
of these videos and Howard in general, he was most likely the only one who would have been monitoring them, which leads me to believe that this is in fact his channel, and he's using it to store and share his fetish videos. Or in other words, he's essentially created his own fetish page right here on YouTube by using content solely produced by minors.
This is fucking
Howard isn't
weird,
just soliciting
bro.
these videos for himself. These
The
comments
fuck?
and these dares were clearly part of a larger plan to distribute this material across the web for the many others who share his sick obsession. And despite the fake challenge
dumb
problem
fuck
having been
parents.
seemingly solved on YouTube, thanks to the removal of comments, Howard has actually found a way around it, as he's using TikTok to do his dirty work and YouTube to share his prizes, which shows us
Oh my
that Howard's
gosh,
reach
that's
extends
disgusting.
far past that of just TikTok. But how far past was something that I never could have seen coming.
There's more.
Armed with the knowledge that Howard wasn't solely on one platform, I began searching to see.
Well, from all the videos we've watched, and we watch a lot of these videos on this channel about like people getting outed, exposed, predators. They have networks and communities, Discord groups. They all talk, share things, discuss each other, share accounts of people they're targeting. Like they're all well connected. The pedophiles.
Where else I could find him across the web.
Creepy.
And as a shot in the dark, I decided to search up things like swimming fully clothed and swimming with clothes on and shoes and socks, which eventually led me to a Twitter account started all the way back in 2012 that had been discussing this very fetish, with the username being HowardTheDuck6. There, this user would tweet things like, "I love to go swimming fully clothed, especially during summer months. Dare you to tell your kids to get a bath or shower fully clothed in their shoes and socks tonight. See what happens." And money-saving idea for the washing if you have kids. Once a week, get them to have a bath fully clothed. It washes them and their clothes. And the tweets go on from there in a similar vein, which, given the username and the obvious interest in kids swimming with their clothes on, it's apparent that this page is also run by Howard. But this was nowhere near the end of his trail, as I soon started discovering more and more accounts run by Howard from every single direction I looked, many of which going by similar usernames, and all of which discussing wet clothes on children.
This is sick.
8 years ago on Answers.com, an account belonging to Howard asked, "Would you ever teach your kids to swim fully clothed with their shoes and socks on? Or have you ever learned your kids to swim fully clothed with their shoes and socks on?" In another instance, he turned up on a website called swimmingforum.com, again asking if anyone would let their kids swim fully clothed. And it went on from there, as he had posted about the topic on Quora, as well as made numerous polls on MrPoll.com, where he posed questions relating to young kids and, of course, swimming with their clothes on. I even found numerous of Howard's banned accounts on a few separate sites, like Hub Pages for example, where he had been permanently banned for incessantly posting about swimming children. The magnitude of his online footprint is unlike anything I have ever seen, as his postings date back well before 2010,
our online
reach all the way up until present day, and he's on
And I saw this one, I don't know if it's a video or just something I read on Twitter, where like in the future there'll be something that gathers like the important parts of your online footprint, like major things from your Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc., and kind of compiles them up for like future job employers, future, relationships, future XYZ colleges to look at your online footprint.
Truly every single website I could ever think to check, and on others that I have never even heard of before. And through all of his years of posting online and through all of his different accounts, he only ever posted about kids swimming in their clothes. It's almost as if the thought of it consumes his life, and every spare moment he has is spent fantasizing about it. He's even started multiple Facebook groups to share his interest in the topic, with one being called People Who Bathe Fully Clothed Weekly Meeting, and Kids Who Would Like to or Who Can Swim Fully Clothed. Howard is quite literally in every corner of the internet talking about this and seeking this content out, as it seems that as time has gone on, he's grown smarter and smarter about how to solicit these videos for himself, as what once started as random posting across the web has now turned into the targeted exploitation of children in a practically foolproof way. But luckily for us, with an online trail this massive, Howard was bound to slip up at one point.
I dare you to get a bath fully clothed.
As it turns out, it seems that Howard wasn't even trying that hard to keep his identity a secret. As on his Twitter page discussed previously, he links to a GoFundMe site where he was trying to raise money for a cause that he so dearly believed in. The page
What?
read, "I am doing a swim fully clothed for Martin House Hospice for children and young people, because to help in the running of the hospice, please do give as much as you can. Every penny really does help. Thank you."
What? For
What this
charity?
event was supposed to be and how this money would actually help in any way was never specified, though it seemed pretty obvious that this was a failed attempt by Howard to try and witness his fetish up close and personal by holding an event
Works with
encouraging
kids.
kids to come and swim fully clothed.
No,
But within this
that's not.
listing
He doesn't work
lies
with
one
kids.
key
He wanted
mistake,
kids to
as
show
Howard
up.
had used his real name, likely something that would have been required if he wanted to receive any of the funds. And surprisingly, his name actually did turn out to be Howard Newton to be exact. And after a few quick
Damn.
searches and matching his photos and videos, it's clear that Howard the Duck 4 is in fact Howard Newton, a middle-aged man living in West Yorkshire, England.
Oh god,
And the
thank God it's
discovery of
the
Howard's
UK.
true identity managed to prove even more important than I ever could have imagined. As throughout this video, though it seemed obvious that Howard did in fact have a wet look fetish, I couldn't find any undeniable proof of it until I found his personal Facebook page. There, I discovered that he was following accounts like Wetlook, Vicky's Mud Paradise, and Zenny's Wetlook, among many others, which, if you haven't guessed,
What
are all
the
clear-cut
fuck?
wet look fetish pages, all of which were heavily sexualized and followed closely by Howard, which confirms without a shadow of a
Bro
doubt
was
that
horny
this
on
was
Maine.
always something sexual for Howard. Along with this, discovering Howard's identity also showed me that the Howard the Duck 4 account wasn't even his only page on TikTok, as he has actively been posting, as well as continuing his spree of comments on another account called Newton Howard 1.
Damn.
Please do follow me on this account. This is the backup account in case videos get banned on
That's so crazy. Even old fuckers who know nothing about the internet are like, alright, this is my backup account.
my other account.
On this page, Howard explains that he is using it as a backup account should his main channel get banned, which that alone shows us that Howard is aware that his predatory behavior at the very least goes against terms of service, and it heavily implies that he's well aware what he's doing is wrong. And though his behavior under Howard the Duck 4 seemed somewhat calculated and clearly thought through, in this other page he is far more unhinged, as he has ramped up his obsessive commenting even more, and he's now started making videos in response to those in his replies, where he verbally asks these young boys to participate in his challenges.
I dare you to get a bath full of clothes and do a shuffle with your wet clothes on. I dare you to get a bath fully clothed and then do a shuffle in your wet clothes.
And even when he's
What
getting
the
called
fuck
out by
did
some
he
of these
say?
kids, he just continues to ask
The same
shamelessly.
thing is.
But
Oh,
by
dude, people do this all the time, daily. There's daily, constantly, millions and trillion times per day. Like, adults trying to solicit kids over the internet.
far the most troubling discovery to come from his new TikTok account
see
takes us yet again to the opening of this video.
Down
and
my
the same
street?
child
Oh,
who
hell
Howard had
no.
approached all the way back in April of 2021. It was noted earlier that Howard had returned to the young boy's page a whole month later after his initial offer was declined. But as it turns out, he didn't even stop there, as he actually returned to the young boy's page yet again,
No
this time
way.
a whole 6 months later, where he continued begging for this kid's participation, this time doing so under the more recent Newton Howard account, which just further showcases
Obsessed.
his disturbing
That's
persistence.
vile how obsessed he was, bro. Like, it's so scary. Like, some people's brains, like, can only function in one sexually charged thought like that. Like, some dudes they're all different, you know, they all got some sort of different weird obsession, but it's just, like, so sexual they can't think or do anything else other than these obscene sexual urges.
And how deep his predatory obsession truly is. And by this point, I had thought I'd seen it all, or at least the worst that this rabbit
So
hole had
disgusting.
to
It's
offer.
not even human.
But just as I had finished this video up, I made yet another disturbing discovery, and one that brings this whole case full circle. While scrolling through Howard's Facebook page one final time, I realized that he had been following another suspicious group, and upon sifting through its contents, I found that Howard was the only one to have posted on it, and was its original creator, with the group's name being Dare to Do for YouTube Video. There, Howard would follow a similar formula to his TikTok page by daring users to do his challenge, with the only difference being that he would ask them to upload the footage directly to YouTube, and when they would do so, he would link the videos back within the group as a way of archiving them and encouraging others to participate, with these postings going all the way back to 2014. And it didn't stop there, as I found another page that was also run by Howard, called Bath Challenge
Just a
Facebook Group.
Nah, this dude is literally a reptilian brain psychopath.
Where he did the same exact thing, only there he was and is far more active, as the group has hundreds of posts, all showing kids participating in these dares, with the most recent posts being the TikTok videos that he had obtained earlier this year. Between these two groups were countless proposed dares and even more videos, with the most concerning part being that Howard seems to have taken credit for them. And though I haven't found a way to prove it yet for sure, it seems likely that many, if not all of these hundreds of YouTube videos were solicited by Howard himself. This didn't start for him on TikTok. He was one of the ones running these fake challenge operations on
Richard, look bro. We got 51 hours to stream, so we got like 21 hours left to gain. But that's how many hours we've raised through the subathons so far, bro. Isn't that insane? With our Cash Apps and PayPals. Fuck, I know, dude. And we did that all within like the first 6 hours, bro. So I hope we get to 72 hours. But right now we're at 10 out of 51 hours. So 41 hours left to go.
In the early
but I'm hoping to go for the full 3 days, 72.
days. And when the comment sections got disabled and it became much harder to solicit these videos through YouTube, Howard simply switched platforms to continue his predatory ways. It's just such a disturbing revelation, as it's very likely that many of the videos I had scrolled through when exploring the YouTube side of this, simply to understand the
and
history
Richard with
of fake
5
internet
motherfucking gifted
may have actually.
Bro, I'm so glad you made it to the Cultathon. Are you still in Malaysia? Or where are you at now, bro? I think with 5 gifted.
Actually been solicited by the very predator I was hunting.
Predator hunting sounds fun.
This is truly one of the most bizarre cases that I've ever worked on, and it all leads us to a rather uncertain ending, as it's unclear what will happen to Howard from this point on. Taking everything we know about him into consideration, I have suspicions that there is some sort of mental illness involved here. However, given how calculated his approach was on TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, and the fact that he's used this content to start a fetish page on YouTube leads me to believe that he is aware enough to understand what he's doing. Plus, not to mention his clear understanding that what he's doing is wrong and would likely lead to him getting banned. And because of this, I forwarded all of this information and more to law enforcement in his area.
Well, I hope they fucking do something about it, bro.
I honestly have my doubts that they will actually do anything.
Porn addiction.
I mean, this whole thing is just so
if that's
obscure.
what he posts on YouTube and TikTok, like he can get away with, imagine what he has on his computer.
Though Howard is clearly a predator, he's being predatory in an unconventional way. And given the way the laws are written, I'm not sure if he's actually done anything illegal. So I'd imagine that this would be a hard case for law enforcement to pursue, which is a huge problem, as this is the case with practically all of these fake challenges across
the web. And another motherfucking gifted from Richard, bringing it to 1,110 total gifted subs to the channel, bro. I appreciate you.
Typically centered around an obscure fetish, plus the lack of any real laws being broken. It's basically made this style of solicitation practically risk-free for the predators out there, as these people never wind up facing any sort of repercussions. So I think it's important that we bring these cases to light every so often, so that these predators know that there are consequences to their actions, because as of now there is practically no one holding them accountable, which has made these predators, like Howard, run rampant across the web. I just want to briefly mention that I have some new merch.
Nah, fuck your merch. Buy my merch, chat. We'll watch some more spooky videos after